Right, hi guys, welcome back to our third episode of the Harley on bikes, boats and bits. Today we're a bit short on time today, but we are going to take a bit more of a look at the wiring here. We're going to take the tank off to give us a bit more room to access the carb, so the carb will come off to go away to be ultrasonically cleaned. If we get the time and we can access it. We did find just after we put the bike away last week that the oil tank was fit to bursting. So what this means is the engine is wet sumping, and being as these are a dry sump setup, which we'll explain a bit more for those of you that are not so up on old British bikes and American bikes, we'll explain what that means. But yeah, it's something else that needs to be looked at. So we'll get ourselves set up and we'll take it from there. Right, to remove the tank, all we've got to do is got a bolt here, we've got a bolt here to come off, and obviously disconnect the fuel line. Hopefully that's not going to leak too much. So 1/2 inch bolt or 1/2 inch header on. Let's put that one. Put it down there for the moment. Always one, and today it's this one. Come on. Let's prise him out a bit. There it comes. Right, so that's those two up. Looks like the front one is slightly longer, which would make sense going through the headstock. Right, we'll just disconnect the fuel hose. That's the tank ready to come off. Let's clip it on. Right. Once again, plenty of fuel. Sorted. There you go, one tank. So let's remove this air filter mount, which is just these three here. Done that last time as well. Right, if we take them out of there for a moment, that's what I want to do. Just pop them back in there so they don't get lost. There's another one here somewhere. There he is. Right, so that's those. We've got 2 bolts at the back, so I'll just drop around the other side. Now, can we get to him? Get to that one reasonable. Just a bit about 1/4 inch. said that we can't get to it reasonable. No, that bracket's going to have to come off.
It'll make no difference.
Hey?
Bracket will make no difference. You're still at the...
No, the bracket's right over top of it.
Oh.
So we need to come in at that angle. We've got a bracket sloping down at the back here that bolts onto the cylinder heads that holds the coil. So we're going to have to take that off to get to the two down there. Spanners. Yeah, as you can see, this bracket is covering up the back here, so you're going to have to pop him off. Jeez. That's a tapped hole. If I can get the one in the frame, actually. Stiff to the end.
Either way I like it.
Seems a bit looser. Right, can we get onto him? No. It's the easy answer to that. Bingo. It's got the nut on the bottom spinning. Typically, it's the same size. It is. Span's slightly too big, but as it's already cracked, it's not an issue. Had it been tight, we would have been rounding off corners, but and typically the one you can't get to is an eye lock. Unlike the Triumph we had, that was a mixture of metric and imperial, at least this one is all imperial, even though we're using metric spanners. But some sizes are pretty close fit, this being one of them. Him off. I'll use the cheap Dodge for this. Hook and a spanner over the back of an Allen key. Pull the cap out of the way. Something cracked. That's that one cracked. It's coming loose already. Come on. hanging right in the way. Next one. O-rings splitting out of that. Might have been some of our rough running. That's it all those. Right. Put the throttle cable off. Right. One S&S Super E. It all feels quite free that end. So yeah, I think it's just the jet tubes and bits and pieces that really need a good clean. Alright, we'll get some rag and we'll block that up, and that's that off and ready. Okay, so just make sure it's all nice and clean in here. I'm just going to shove that rag in there and stop any crap getting in and dropping down into the balls. This is something I have learnt. Yep, working on a GSXR drag bike. I de-ragged all my manifolds. I turned my back on the bike for 2 minutes. My then about 6-year-old son,
About that age, yeah.
decided he was going to help me by putting some bolts down the inlet tracks, because I then came back into the workshop, popped the carbs on and chucked it in the back of the van to take it to the dyno, where it promptly did 2 grand's worth of tangling of valves and buggering up cylinder heads and all sorts of stuff. So we put those in.
Yeah.
Right, as you can see, this is the kill switch, which is a bit of a mess in here. So it's just these 2 screws and the whole thing comes out as one unit. So we'll get this disconnected. Also, strangely, these are the brake light switch wires. They're joined together, so the brake light switch, well, the brake light should be on, which we know isn't. So I'm not quite sure, but it's a bit of a mess in here, so somebody's been having a bad play. But there, that's one screw. Just try not to drop that one. Right. Right. So you go, that is that now out. Right. Go grab some side cutters and we'll chop him out. Alright, so we'll just cut these off. Right. One dodgy switch, which looks like it's been melted and all sorts. Right there. Right, we have, for a later date, we have a nice new one to go in. So, all good. Right. Okay. Now we don't know why this is joined up, but again it shouldn't be. That should have 2 crimps on the end of these to go on that switch. Now, Not sure if you guys can see in there. This is a brake light switch, which is what these two wires should be attached to. So we'll just have all of this off so we can sort it out, ready for a later date. These brake light switches are really good things to have, especially front ones. And I'd imagine especially on a Harley.
Don't stop.
Yeah, 2 terminals.
And that switch is knackered on.
Possibly, yeah. And a seal by the looks of it. There's a load of detritus in there. Right, so we know what we've got. Okay, well, we're at this point. We're going to just see what's going on with the front brake, because as you can see, that's not very good. And it was like that before we took the switchgear apart. So we'll just pop this off, have a look, see if it's got any fluid in it, see if we can pump it up at all. Give it a little bit of a bleed out, whatever it needs. Or it may need a complete reseal. Hopefully not, but that's bone dry. Absolutely bone dry. That will explain the lack of brakes. So, pop some fluid in it and see what we get. Actually, there's a load of crap in there as well. Let's wipe that out. Yeah, we don't really want that. Let's give me a bit of rag. Nasty. Not the sort of thing you want floating around in your brake reservoir, wanting to block up orifices. Possibly detrimental to the stopping ability. Which from past experiences isn't necessarily particularly good to start with.
The word you're looking for is non-existent.
Yeah, not having any Nissin 4-pot spare. Right, let's turn the bars. So we're back on a level. Squeeze a load of air bubbles out. There's some big old bubbles coming out there. This could of course take some time. I think it's fair to say at some point we need to suck all that fluid out. Put some fresh in.
And jump the calipers off, make sure the seals ain't gone, and that's where it's coming out from.
Anything it feels this end. There's still bubbles coming. bit there.
If you look at the way that splitter is,
Yeah,
you're never
right.
going to get all the air out of that without sucking it out, the way it's going in.
Yeah, I took that earlier, it's not right, is it?
No, at the wrong angle, you're never going to bleed that.
No, I'm just trying, I'm hoping it's all this end. It's starting to get a bit of feeling to it. Real working brakes.
Let's just hope when we kind of put it back in the workshop, they come back up again then.
Right, so we know the brakes more or less work. They are pumping up slowly. It's staying. There's still little bubbles coming out. But it gives us an idea of what to expect. But yeah, it wants some clean fluid, well, all the old stuff sucking out and new fresh putting in. So right, we'll put the lid back on him and we'll leave that for another day. Now, I'm not sure that's how that's meant to be on there. That's certainly not how they go on Japanese bikes, but heaven forbid, this isn't the Japanese bike. We'll just see if we've actually got enough space to get a tray under this and take the oil out the sump, because just before we set the camera up, which actually we'll show you, at the end of play last week, this tank was almost bulging. As you can see now, it's dry. Now, if you can see down there, there's very, very little oil. Now, this tank was full last week, as in flush here. So all of that is in the engine, and it shouldn't be. Okay. Right, we're going to leave that there for today. We're going to go back and check up on the manual on a few bits and pieces before we take it any further. We don't want to start breaking shit. So we have achieved, we've got a working front brake of sorts. That's ready to have the new switchgear put in and soldered in. Obviously we've still got to drain this out, find out what's going on there. A few other little bits and pieces. I want to check the wiring going into the ignition unit, and also we need to find out why it's continually wet sumping, because this oil tank, the space of a week, is virtually empty. So a few things to check up and look out for. Then we'll be back with the next episode to do some more. So we'll see you soon.